Hello crafty friends, in this video I'll be making 2 cards and 2 tags. I will be using one sheet of 8.5 by 11 paper that I printed on my home printer that's from the latest digital paper collection from Mindless Crafting. After I printed out the digital paper that I picked from the collection, I cut 4 panels 4.25 by 5.5. I took one of those quarters and used a tag die cut and cut these 2 out. Then I also went into my stash and I keep cardboard boxes and back of paper pads for tags so that they're thicker after I glue the front cardstock on. Then I got out a Tim Holtz stencil and some paste to add some sparkly stars. The products that I use, if I can find links, I will put in the description below. I've really been enjoying digital papers lately, and I don't have a fancy printer, and they print out great. I think it's all about the paper you use and the settings. Make sure that you pick best and the kind of paper you're using. Mindless Crafting has some great digital papers. You should head over there and check them out. Next, I wanted to add some snowflakes to one of them, but I needed to kind of go with the little grungy kind of vintage look, so I got out another stencil and just started adding some of the tones that I was seeing in that paper that I printed out. I got out my glass mat for this because if I'm going to bring in a blending brush from the edge, the glass is the best tool for that because the brush just moves nice and easy across it. Then I just got out some snowflakes that I have that would fit on the size tag that I printed out, and I chose a blue that was kind of in the paper that I printed. Now that was way too light, so I ended up going with a darker ink right over the top of it. Then I just set them over to the side before I die cut them to dry while I worked on my sentiment for the tag. I used that same grungy panel that I had made earlier. I just picked a lighter spot and cut out a little square. Stamped it twice so that it was dark enough in that brown, and then set that side to dry. Now I'm ready to assemble my little simple Christmas tag with the snowflakes that I stamped and cut out with a die cut, and then I'm going to fussy cut out my sentiment, put it on some foam squares to pop it up, and then glue it all down, and then cut the edges off the snowflakes that hang over the edge, but I like to glue it down first. This tag came together really quickly after I gathered the supplies. You can't really see the sparkles from that grip paste, but they're there. And then I just added my little sentiment, and then I'm going to put some ribbon through the hole. And then I have a nice gift tag to put on a gift, or actually give a family member so that they can put it on their gifts. And that finishes my first Christmas tag. The next tag, I decided to use a stamp from Tim Holtz Christmas stamps. I'm going to actually use another stamp from that set on one of my cards that I make later. I stamped it in a brown to continue with the kind of grungy look that paper that I printed out had. And I started coloring it in with colored pencils. And then to smooth the color pencils, I'm going to use some Zest-it, which is similar to Gamsol, but it's non-toxic and it has a nice citrusy smell. Then I picked out a sentiment from that same stamp set. Now I have trouble sometimes stamping these straight, so I used the technique I learned from Jennifer McGuire, and I'll link her video below where she walks you through the steps on how to go about it. It's pretty cool. Now off camera, I decided that stocking that I colored was still too bright for the paper on the tag, so I just added with that ink dauber a little bit of vintage photo just over the whole top, just to darken all the colors and kind of make it look a little bit more like the tag. I put some foam squares behind it and then just glued down the sentiment that I had done, and I'm going to add that same cream colored ribbon to the top. That ribbon's a little hard to get through that hole because of the heavy cardboard I used. It's really nice and sturdy and will definitely hold up attached to a package. Okay, now that my two tags are done, I'm going to move on to the cards. Hey, just a quick reminder, please like and subscribe. Thank you! This next card came together really quickly. I used one of those panels from that printed paper, and then I printed out another paper from the collection that has that poinsettia on it. I shrunk it down so that I could actually fit 4 of those poinsettias on one piece of paper, and now I have 4 panels to make 4 more cards. I trimmed, which I'm calling the patchwork paper, to 4 by 5 1/4 so that that cream paper would give me a border. And to go with the vintage theme, I just inked the edges. And then the poinsettia paper, I trimmed down 4 1/4 by 3 1/2 so that the patchwork paper would frame the poinsettia paper. And I just used my tape runner to adhere it all down, cut down a piece of a foam sheet so that I can put the whole square behind that panel and pop it up. Add a little of my glue to the back, and now my card has some dimension. Make sure that it's going in the right direction because you don't want to glue that upside down. And then I picked out a simple Christmas sentiment that I thought went well with the card. I'm going to print it on a piece of scrap that I have that's in a, you can't see it, but it has like a texture to it. This like tan colored paper. It's just in my scrap pile. I keep in over to the side so that see how it's got like a little bit of a, it's almost like a fabric-y texture to it. It looked cool on the card. And then just a really simple fussy cut out, and the Tim Holtz scissors worked really well on the textured paper because it was a little difficult to cut, but then those scissors were great. And then I just inked the edges, and I decided not to pop up this sentiment because that paper was so thin. Like I said, it's like holding a piece of fabric. I don't think it would have done well popped up, so I decided to just glue it flat to the card. Alright, on to the next card. So the next card is going to have this stamp on the front. I love the paper so much I didn't want to cover all of it, so I just wanted to do one stamp, and I thought that this stamp with its like sketchy drawing really looked cool with the paper. Again, I went with the brown ink and the colored pencils. Then I got out my third panel from that piece of paper, inked the edges, and then put it on some craft cardstock for my card base. And I'm going to pop up this stamp. As you can see, there's a stamp on the back that I messed up, so I just flipped it over, stamped it again, inked the edges, and I'm going to use my double-sided tape again. And I decided to go with a different sentiment this time. It's from a different stamp set I got at Michael's, I think. Came with like a simple stamp. But it's the same paper, so I decided not to pop that up again, just to glue that sentiment to the panel just like the other one, and just pop up the cute car stamp. And the glue though on this paper doesn't show through, doesn't ripple, so it worked out well. And then that card is now done as well. I think these cards came out super pretty, and they were really simple with the digital papers. Check them out and see what you can come up with some die cuts and stamps. Thanks so much for watching. Have a crafty day.